All right. How's everybody doing? Hey, Christy,
Hey guys.
Marcus, how's it going? Got two Marcuses on the same row, so I got 2 for 1 there. That's great. Don Drury, good to see you, man. Luke, Ed Powers,
Morning,
Brian
everyone.
Hartley, Gary Swati, Jordan. What's up, Thomas Sealbinder? Coming at us from North Carolina. Guy. What a great crowd. Awesome. Michael, how you doing? Michael Hogan, good to see you. Aviv, Tomer, good to see you. Sarah, Rabba. Awesome. All right, guys, we're going to give everybody just a couple of minutes as we get started here. So we'll start in about another minute. Jeff's going to flash up some polls in a second, which I'll talk a little bit more about. But if you could share some information with us, that would be awesome, just to get a better understanding of who everybody is on the call. This doesn't capture any personal information. We don't tie it back, so it's an anonymous poll. But we'd love to learn a little bit more about you if you're on the web meeting. So good to see everybody. Steve Bernstein, how you doing? Good to see you, man. Diana, good to see you. Matt, Carolyn, Mariano, good to see you, buddy. Awesome. Great crowd. Good deal. All right, we'll get started in about another minute here. So for those of you who have never joined a call with us before, we like to try to start pretty much on time, and we like to finish just a couple minutes early just to make sure we respect your time. So it's good to see everybody. Hey, Rob Schmelzer, how are you? FB, good to see you. David Ellen, good to see you. Jennifer Camber, how are you? Good to see you guys. Awesome. All right, it's 10:02, so we'll get started. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us. If you didn't hear me a moment ago, we've got a couple of polls up on the screen. We'd love to just understand a little bit more about who's with us on the call today. Great group. We have over 200 people so far, and I envision more will join us. So this is the Gain, Grow, Retain, the first ever Operator Excellence Series call. So we're really excited about this. And I think it's going to be a fun forum. What we decided to do, there's some people in the industry who have done some really amazing things and just sort of taken everything we talk about every week to the next level. And Ziv Peled is one of those guys at AppsFlyer who's really done that. So we're going to be talking about measuring relationships in B2B SaaS today. So he's going to walk all of us through how he does that. If you have questions that you'd like to ask, please put them in the chat. Jeff and I are going to be keeping an eye on that. At the end, we're going to try to have some interaction as well. So raise your hand if you've been on an office hours call before, which I envision many of you have, but there's a raise hand function in the bottom of your participants window. So feel free to raise your hand and we'll try to call on some people. But also if you could type your questions in the chat box, that would be really, really helpful. So like I said, this is part of the Gain, Grow, Retain community for customer success leaders and CS professionals. And we're all about showing your work. We want people to share what they're actually doing. There's no one size fits all to the problems that we're all solving, as everybody knows. And so if we all show our work, then other people can learn from that. And so that's what this is all about. So we're really excited here. If you are not muted, please mute right now so that we don't get any background noise. We'll try to keep an eye on that as well. And without further ado, I'm going to introduce Ziv Peled and let him kick us off. So Ziv, floor is yours, buddy. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Jay. Yeah, I'm really, really excited to speak about that. I'm very passionate about relationships for the last definitely 18 months. And let me show you what I'm thinking, and I'm very, very interested of also hearing what you think about that. So let's start with the goal for this webinar. Everyone see the screen? Yeah. Good. So it was very, very important for me to write also the goal for this webinar. I'm really looking to ignite both customer success managers, individual contributors, and leaders to think seriously about relationships with customers, understand it, improve it, scale it, perfect it. this is the journey for today. We believe it will take 30 minutes, and then we'll be open for questions, discussion, brainstorming. I'll start with B2B SaaS customer success vision, our vision, my vision, what triggered me to think about relationships, the basics, definition, importance, and limitations of relationships, then relationships and what to focus on customer success, and what we've done so far in AppsFlyer. And I'll start with customer success vision evolution. First of all, we are a customer and people obsessed company. And I tried to squeeze in one slide, what does it mean? But I'll also explain. So I think that the sentence from Steve Jobs, think from the customer experience backwards, it's exactly for that, exactly explains what is customer obsessed. But this is for customers. We take customers into consideration in everything we do. But I think in the last 2-3 years, it's even become more extreme. So we think about people, we are people obsessed, and we think about the employees of our customers, our users, our significant relationships. We think about the end users of our customers. So B2B2C, any company here that is B2B2C, you also need to think about your consumers, the consumers of your customers, and how you help them in their experience and journey. And we think, of course, about our employees. And if we are obsessed about our employees, we are increasing the customer experience and more. And we can speak about that later as well. So for my customer success vision, I really like that. I saw this equation 5 years ago in a Gainsight Paul's presentation, and we modified it slightly to have multiply and not add. And if you think about that, so if you don't have, if customer experience is really, really bad, then there's no customer success. If customer outcome is bad or not attained, then it's bad. And this is what we've done so far. So our focus, I joined AppsFlyer in 2013. First 4 years, the focus was onboarding customer success managers, onboarding customers, and no KPI, no real goal. And then we introduced the first KPI, and it's around value, and it's covering the customer outcomes. This year, we started around 4 months ago, we kicked off a framework around relationship. And this is what I'm going to speak about a lot today. This is the more emotional part of customer success. And if you saw one of my previous presentations, I enhanced the customer experience equation a little bit. And we added also marketing experience and buying experience. It's an enhancement. What someone suggested over LinkedIn in my post from 2.5 weeks ago, and already added. We created for this presentation an amazing slide. So if we say that the marketing experience, buying experience, multiply onboarding experience, multiply service experience, multiply by product experience, then we now built it in a quadrant. And if you take from the customer from a prospect to a loyal user, it becomes from the marketing experience to the product and service experience. And if you take the other axis from brand product relationship to a personal relationship, it's again from the product experience. Again, marketing is also related here to the brand, and to from the buying experience to the service experience. And if you think about this side of the quadrant on a personal relationship and a loyal user, it's a lot about many, many things. It's customer support, and it's customer success, and it's finance, and it's the knowledge base, and it's so many, many things here, the service experience. And I don't want to speak too much about this today, but I am going to develop this slide a lot more. And I'll probably speak about it in the next presentation. To summarize the vision, I also wanted to mention that we are not commercial. revenue is not our goal, and we are not measured by revenue. And it enables us to work on the entire portfolio, and it enables us to focus on value to customers that is premium and non-premium. We want to be the customer trusted advisor, the domain expert. We want them to come and consult with us. We want them to trust us and to use us as if we were part of their team. And we want to be as personal as possible with them. And I believe it's one of the biggest fundamental things in relationships. And to summarize this part, this is our mission statement for customer success. We listen, learn, and help customers achieve their desired outcomes while building long-term relationships.
Hey, Ziv, can I ask you a question real quickly?
Absolutely.
So earlier you showed, you talked about how you operationalized value management and value tracking in 2018, and then you added the relationship component later. Would you still do it again in that order if you had to start over again?
Absolutely, absolutely. Relationship is super important, but without value, there's no real need to invest and develop the relationship. The desired outcomes, and something that we are also enhancing now, if you understand really well the desired outcome of your customer in the pre-sale stage, and in the first 2 or 3 months, you go and you get it, then home run. Then develop more desired outcomes and the relationship. But I don't see the relationship with empty desired outcomes. Cool. Let's go for the trigger. So around 18 months ago, I read an article that spoke about the relationship of the customer and the product, and another line from the customer to the CSM. And it made me think a lot about what we are doing and what we are not doing. This is a question, the 2 questions that I'm getting a lot discussing in the industry. Lots of CSMs and leaders wants to know how many accounts and how much ARR a CSM handles. And it's a great question. It gives you some segmentation, some understanding of how CSMs are busy or not. But in the end, it will not help you really segment what you need or enable you to know who is the better CSM, who is less, who needs more help, who less. And then I started to think about this question. How many significant relationships, how many people we engage with, how many people we develop a relationship with among all our customers? And I'll show you later how much I found, what is the optimal number that I see for now, but we're still developing it and researching. But in the end, it's a lot different. So I showed you an example that you can have 2 CSMs, one with 25 customers and 5 VIP customers managing $1.5 million in ARR. The second the same, but one with 40 significant relationships and the second with 80. And again, this doesn't still say who is the busiest, who is better, but it immediately gives you a direction of what to focus on. And when you find your optimal number of significant relationships, let's say that the optimal number will be 60, then we can definitely offload the CSM that is managing 80 and probably is busier than others. So, yeah, go ahead.
Hey, Ziv, question that Remco just asked, which is a good one. How do you define a significant relationship?
Yeah, that's a great question. And every organization will need to define their own. I let my CSM decide, and I try to leave it in the small numbers, 4, 5, 6 significant relationships for a super enterprise VIP customer, and then less for others. But also, if you think about that, so when we started, we mapped champions, decision makers, and executives. And when I saw that some of our CSMs they said that they have more users that they are engaged with. So I added also the valuable users. So you will also be able to outline who is a valuable user that you are engaged with, but they are not the champion, not an executive, and not a decision maker. And we'll see that a little bit more later on, and we can speak about that more. So let's speak a little bit about the definition of relationship. So this is the clear definition from the dictionary. It's really great because it shows that it speaks between concepts, object, or people. And maybe in a later presentation, we will be able to speak more about concepts and objects and products and brands. But today we'll focus about our relationships and connection to people. This is a great survey I found, as the CMO survey among 265 CMOs, mostly B2B. And as you can see that there's three different surveys here from February 2019, August 2019, and February 2020. And we see a huge increase in February 2020 to trusting relationship. More than, there's a decline in superior product quality, there's a decline in excellent service, there's a big of an increase on a superior innovation, and a big of an increase, decline on low price, but a huge spike on trusting relationship. So again, this shows the importance of a relationship in B2B. For us here, the value, I wanted to outline a few more values. Long-term customers in B2B SaaS are customers for life. We work with customers for them to be our customers for life. Great relationship drives onboarding, adoption, and feedback and more. This is a core engagement, and better relationship definitely delivers that. And more clients, if you develop and maintain great relationships, you will get more advocacy. And more advocacy means more customers. And I'll speak a lot about that later. Here, I also outlined that B2B is actually H2H, human to human. And there's a great sentence said a lot about sales, that people buy from people. And I wanted to suggest a line that I thought could be great for customer success, but I'm open, definitely open for brainstorming and suggestions from your side. And I say people surround themselves with great people that really understands their needs and may provide them value. And I think that this is the core thing, and I'll speak about that more in what customer success can and should do. I wanted to speak about Dunbar number. When I saw that article, I read a lot about relationships, and Dunbar is a great professor that speaks a lot about relationships, and he speaks about the correlation between the neocortex size and our social relationship capacity. And the best example here is that if one of the people that you maintain some kind of a social relationships, you will want to engage with them. Let's say that one of them entered into a bar and they will come and sit with you for a drink. You will not feel awkward or embarrassed. You will remember them. You will want to socialize with them. And who knows what is the Dunbar number? Anyone knows? What is the limit? So the limit is 150. And there's some discussion around that with some other surveys. But in the end, the Dunbar is the one that really researched that the most for the last 25 years. This is how I try to visualize it for customer success. So of course, you have your closest relationships, the 15 good friends, the 50 friends, and then the 150 meaningful relationship. Above that, there's 2 lines for 500 and acquaintances, and the 1,500 people that you will see their photo or see them in the street, and you will remember their name. But I think that this is the question we should ask ourselves, is that when we speak about enterprise customers and the significant relationships that we build and maintain, how many of those significant relationships will fall under the 150? And I'm asking you, pick your best, most important customers. If you are a CSM or if you are a leader, think about your biggest customer, most important customer, and think who among your significant relationships in that customer falls under the 50 friends? And if that is also a valid question, is that a good or a bad thing? And we can speak about this slide for a long time, but let's continue, and we can definitely go back to that. Jay, any question here? Cool, so I'll continue.
Yeah. Sorry, yeah, there's a couple of questions that, again, going back to like this definition of significant. Do you define it by, some people are saying they define it by the number of contacts, the frequency of those, but within the client, but does it matter what role they play? Are you looking for that? Like, do you seek out the people that you need to have those deep relationships, or is it just the strongest users? How are you thinking about that?
I think about a lot of things with a lot of common sense. I trust my CSMs. I hire people that are really, we are great people to do a great job, and we need to trust them and their common sense. And it worked. In a few slides, I will show the framework that we implemented. And I didn't need to define it really super well, and it works. Most of the CSMs have 2 or 3 or 4 significant relationships across customers. And when you have a bigger customer, or it's a customer when you have a few departments in that company, then of course it can even be 10. But in the end, it's common sense. And if you build the framework really well, but you will let the CSMs also have some dynamic around it, it really defines really great stuff. And you can then iterate on that. Of course, if I would have a CSM define 15 or 20 significant relationships across all accounts, then I would go and redefine it. Cool. So just to summarize the limitations, so I believe that Dunbar is correct, and there is a relationships capacity, and we should have that in mind when we think about customer success and managing relationships. Time management, of course, this is a limitation we all have. And when you take both together, relationship capacity and time, you also need to think about what is the relationship quality that we get. If we'll reduce the number of relationships or add CSMs, and then other CSMs will have less customers and then hence less relationships, will we get a better quality relationship with our customers? And will that result in better performance or better results? I say yes, but then I think that this is something that we will need to continue to develop, and we can speak about it more. So for the next part, I'm speaking about what to focus on in customer success in B2B SaaS and relationships. So here, for the first slide, I wanted to ask many, many different questions that I thought about back then, and I'm still thinking now. And it should also intrigue you to think about many, many things. What level of relationships we want to build with each customer? And this is also relevant for segmentation. We have enterprise customers, we have mid level, and we have long tail. And of course, I'm speaking mainly about enterprise. We also need to think how many relationships we need per customer. Not only how many significant relationships we have, but also how many relationships we need. If you have an enterprise customer and you only have one relationship, of course you need more. Then from the CSM's perspective, I want the CSM to ask, how do I know it's good? How do I know I'm doing a good job developing that relationship? And for a leader, I want the leader to ask, how do I know it's good? And then, of course, the many questions that we'll ask later, how can we measure it? How can we scale it? Super important. And then I bucketed 4 categories, and I'll speak about most: hiring, soft skills, methodology, and tools. And I think this is a quote that I'm using now for almost a year, and I'll keep using this until the last day of my life. I think that relationship, customer experience, customer success it so goes hand in hand with this quote. And what we say and what we do is very important. But if we only think about how we make people feel while we do that, then it's 10x more important, getting 10x more important. Because when we interact with people, and I'll speak about the onboarding later, and this is one of the most important things. When we think how we make people feel, it's also what they will remember about us and about our company and values, about our product, about our service, and about us. And if we make them feel good, and if we make them trust us, then we will develop a different level of relationship with them, and it will enable us a lot. Here, I added a few things that I'm going to share this presentation later in the Google presentation format. So this title is a link to this article. This article speaks about the 30 needs your customers have and how you can help them meet those needs. Of course, it's easier to feel the functional and emotional needs, but if you think about that, and if you want to be a better customer success manager, or you want your organization to be better, then these are needs that are above, most of them are above the value of our product. And if you will help your customers fulfill one of those needs or more, you will get more credit and more value, and your relationship with them will be, of course, better. Another one is how to get people to like you or heck even love you. They list 14 needs. I mentioned here 10, and I'm going to focus around 4. Again, the link is here, and you'll be able to use it. Here are the 4 things or 5 things that I mentioned that I believe are super important. Be personal. Use their name. Be positive. Smile. Listen. I think that conversational recall, prove you're paying attention. This is by far the most important one. Remember things about them. When I prepped in this presentation with Jay, I reminded him that I remember that he currently lives in South Carolina, but is from North Carolina originally. And these are the most important things that you can do with your customers. Let them feel that it's personal, that you pay attention, and that you remember them 6 months in, 12 months in. You remember the most important things and the small things that can make people feel personal. And become an expert in storytelling. I think it's super important, but everything is important. And now I want to speak about the customer lifecycle. So this is a slide that I, again, enhanced for this presentation. In the beginning, last year, I did it for the customer level of engagement. Now I'm going to show both the CSM and the client level of engagement across different milestones, super important milestones, and the different stages. So first of all, just let's see the lines. And this is what I believe is the level of engagement of the client and the CSM in different milestones and different stages of the customer lifecycle. By the way, just this is not the best CSM. Well, this is a good CSM. This is not a great CSM, not engaged fully between milestones, and can be better. But let's focus on the good CSM. This is what I believe is the first date between the demo kickoff and then until we close the deal. Mainly on sales side, the CSM might come in here and help a bit, but this is the first date with the customer, and we need to make sure that this is also a good engagement, a good experience, mainly with sales. Then, again, this is, I told you about that when we spoke about the Maya Angelou quote. These 2-3 months of honeymoon training and onboarding, this is the most important stage with the customer. We need to be fully engaged. We need to make the client is fully engaged, and to make sure that they feel it's a great experience and memorable. They need 12 months in, 24 months in, 36 months in. they will never remember the price. They will not remember the feature that was missing. They will remember the onboarding. They will remember the experience of the onboarding. And I also believe that there's no marriage here in B2B SaaS. So we went in immediately to the honeymoon, and then the next 9 months are the most important stage for a relationship, to be able to deepen it, to make sure that you get to the right level of relationship with the customer. For leaders, for management, CEOs, and boards, it was important for me to mention here that your investment in customer success isn't only the investment in onboarding, adoption, upsell, and retention. It's a long-term investment in your future relationship capital. If you think about times like what we're now handling, COVID-19, and also in other times, what we invest and build as our relationship capital is what will enable us to really deal with the most negative situations. This is what enables us to go for the best renewals. This is what enables us to retain lots of our customers also in bad times, in COVID and other things. And then you ask yourself, how can you measure relationships? So this is what we've done so far in AppsFlyer, and I tried to give you as much details as possible. So this is our current customer success tech stack, and I broke it to outbound and inbound. And as you can see, we have some of the tools that we use that are both outbound and inbound. We have Salesforce is our source of truth, and we invest heavily in it, and we develop in it. We have Looker, which is our visualization tool, and where we live every minute of the day. We have lots of different dashboards and boards for our customer success managers, from a good morning dashboard to the early warning system to an opportunistic dashboard and more. And we also, of course, trigger lots of insights from Salesforce via Troops to Slack. And I will show a little bit about very soon. So start from the basics. When I started to visualize what I want to have, I thought about starting from the contacts object in Salesforce. And very early on, we realized that it's so noisy. There's in big accounts, we have over 100 contacts, and it's not maintainable. It's really hard to maintain. And it was very important for me to define that the relationship will be a person-to-person, CSM to a significant relationship, and not a CSM to a company. So we've built a new custom object. This is how an account looks like in AppsFlyer. This is a demo account, of course, and this is our amazing Lightning implementation. If you look here, this is our custom object for relationship, for significant relationships. And you'll have here the name of the significant relationship, their title, when was the last time that they were using our product. This is the CSM name, the relationship strength, the type of the relationship, the personal level strength. And we will also see here, when was the last time we touched base with them, when was the last time they responded to us, and even if they are an advocate or a supporter. And I will go now very detailed on how we define it and the things that I'm asking CSMs to subjectively define. So the strength of the relationships starts from scale from 1 to 5, where 1 is weak, almost won't respond to me, very hard to get a call or a meeting with that relationship. Where okay is will respond to me within a week, and I will be able to get a meeting or a call within a month. And amazing is someone that really responds to you within the day, and you will not have any problem to get them on a call within the week. And I also added here, will also approach us not only with an issue, so also consult with us, wants to speak with us also on positive things. The next, the type of the relationship. So on a CSM level or team leader level, director level, or an executive level from our side, to a valuable user, a champion, a decision maker, or an executive on the customer side. And then on the personal level, and this something that I really want to still develop, but is between people that I don't know nothing about them, people that I know a little bit about them, people that I know, and I did have small talks with them, people that I spent face-to-face time with them, and I know their hobbies and interests, and I know their personal and professional motivation, and to the level of 5 that maybe not needed in all accounts, but really close to be almost work friends. And then the last thing is that if you believe, if you as a CSM, you believe that this significant relationship is also a supporter of AppsFlyer, of the product and the brand. And of course, will they be a great advocate for us?
Hey, Ziv,
Go ahead.
I want to make sure people understand what you've done here, because these relationships, you're tracking a CSM's relationship with the person, right? So it's not just AppsFlyer's relationship with the contact, right? This is on a person-by-person level. Did I get that right?
Absolutely. So when I show you in the demo account, my relationship with Scott from Troops, I say that that we have a very good relationship, and I know I'm connected with him. So I don't know where he lives. I don't know if he has kids or not. But in the end, that's the current level. And then we can help CSMs with 60 relationships to help them prioritize what's the next engagement, where do they need to deepen the relationship or not.
Awesome. And then one more question. This is a power question, so I'll give Remco the credit for this one again. But how did you choose? Why did you choose to do this in Salesforce versus a CSM specific tool?
Yeah, so I tried to look for vendors. We used Tango in the past, and we are not using it anymore. And when I didn't find a very good vendor for relationships with really added value, I decided to do it myself. But I really looked for something that will help me also understand the level of engagement, the cadence, the many things. But in the end, we decided to develop ourselves, and I'm still looking for a vendor. So if someone really knows a vendor that can really give me a lot of value in relationships, I'm definitely willing to hear.
I'm sure your inbox will be full after this. So
great.
One more.
Yeah, go ahead.
One more question is, are you doing this for all of your customers top to bottom through your customer segmentation, or are you focusing only on a couple of tiers?
Yeah, so I'm showing that in the next slide, and we're focusing. It's mandatory for tier 1 customers. Tier 1 are out of 6. But we can speak about it in the next slide.
Sorry, I stole your thunder.
Yeah, that's fine. Here, it was super important for me to show you how easy it is and what I'm requiring CSMs to do. So here, we're speaking about every 30 days since the last modification of a relationship, we will trigger a Troops alert in Slack, works both in desktop and mobile, and it enables the CSM now to update the relationship strength, the personal level, add notes, and either submit or close if they wanted to update that. It literally takes a second to do that. Super important. Now let's look a little bit about that from the leader perspective. So this is our Looker dashboard for relationships. What we see here is tier one, the focus is tier one customers, and we see how many relationships we have, how many accounts we have, which relationships, how many advocates we have. We see different breakdowns by team, by CSMs, by region, by types. We then see in the leaders view also by CSM and by tier of customer. This is the mandatory part, but we have also CSMs that are doing tier 2, 3, and 4. This is a great view for both the leaders and the CSM, where they see this is a one CSM, their entire portfolio of significant relationships. And then you can see here the title. I'm not showing, of course, the names and the CSM name, but the title of the contact, the relationship strength, the personal strength, and when was the last engagement. We also see the type of relationship. And with this kind of view, me as a CSM or me as a team leader, I can definitely go to a CSM and say, oh, there's an upcoming renewal in 3 months with this customer. We should also do a QBR and deepen the relationship with this or that contact. And we have lots of time here now for questions. I'll just mention 3 key takeaways from this presentation. 1, Dunbar number, know your max, optimize your mind, prioritize relationships, and make sure that you are do smart engagements. Your investment in customer success is a long-term investment in your future relationship capital. And last but not least, start from the basics. Spreadsheet is a great start. If you don't have a tool, if you are just a CSM, start with a spreadsheet. If you are able, build something very small, very like first step in Salesforce.
Awesome, Ziv. We've got boom, yeah, as Ziv is noted for. We've got a bunch of questions. So first of all, before we start running through these, I'm going to try to go through them as quickly as I can. There's no way we're going to get to all of them, but we're going to go rapid fire. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take all the questions that we don't get to, probably all the questions period, we're going to go post them on Gain, Grow, Retain. So if you haven't been there yet, gaingrowretain.com. I know it's a little bit of a tongue twister, but gaingrowretain.com is the online community where we take conversations in between these kind of calls. Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to go back here, Ziv. There's a lot of, there were several people that asked the question, what do you do when a key stakeholder leaves the organization or changes? Do you basically start rebuilding all these objects from scratch with new people? How do you deal with stakeholder changes?
Yeah, it's an amazing question. And one of the things that we've built, I didn't show that in the presentation, but we don't delete past relationships. So if a CSM leaves, or a champion or an executive or a decision maker leaves, we retain those relationships for comparison. And we also, when a champion leaves, someone from the customer leaves, we want to correlate that to an existing customer or an existing prospect. And we have, and the best relationships you have, and I have one great example about that. We have a relationship that left their company 3 months ago. We knew that that contact is going to leave 6 months before, and we knew a month before that is joining one of our prospects, and since then they are our customer. So amazing.
I think Jay might have lost his internet for a minute, but Ziv, I'll step in. And another question that we just got in the chat as well is around how you look at your CSMs and how they're comped. So you mentioned earlier that obviously they're not very commercially focused. So how do you think about these relationships and how you tie that into some of the outcomes you're looking for your CSMs to drive?
Yeah, so our comp is built on yearly appraisals, and we look at many things. So we have our KPI. The KPI is upsell and feature adoption indications. We ask CSMs to bring at least 4 of those indications every month. But when I look at a CSM, I want to look at their development. I want to look at their relationship skills. I want to look at their aspirations. I want to look at their KPI. I want to look at so many things. And then, of course, on a one-on-one basis, we do those appraisals and promotions. And, I'm very, very proud of the organization that we've built and the career path that we have. So I mentioned that in a LinkedIn post around a month ago. We have now in my organization 40 leaders out of a team of 220 people. Out of those 40 leaders, 7 were hired from the outside. Everyone else, 33, were individual contributors that were developed in the company, including myself. I was a CSM. That's
good perspective. You earlier you showed a number of tools. I was trying to count before we even moved off the slide, but I'm going to assume it's somewhere around 20 tools or so that I saw, I think, on the screen. And so I think we've gotten a couple of questions just around, how have you set your team up to manage that? Do you have an operations function that lives underneath customer success? And how do you kind of keep the rigor around some of the data that you have to make sure it's accurate and up to date?
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't have done nothing without my ops team. So today, the ops team is a 2.5 year in the company. Today they are a team of 8, and they do, lots of things. So there's a CS ops function there. There's this like sales ops, but understands lots of layer of the dynamics, how things work. That's one. Then there's analysts that helps us with data, with ETLs, with building lots of this Looker, but not only Looker, not limited. So also integrations between Zendesk and Intercom and Salesforce and other things. And definitely there's lots of most of the things that you saw that first their work and then mine, I come with the vision.
Perfect. And then we had a good question coming from our friend Steve Bernstein. He was curious, how do you, so the dashboards and what you showed us today is very much from an internal perspective. How are you perceiving the relationship that you have with the customer? How do you also gauge how the customer feels about the relationship, kind of in the reverse order? Are you surveying, do you have that on a regular cadence? Is that also flowing into your Salesforce record? Maybe talk through that for a minute.
Yeah, so we have definitely, we are using CSAT and NPS. We feel that it's not a good indication. I don't get a lot of value out of that. We get lots of insights, we get lots of inputs, and we definitely go and handle that. But it's not really, also think about completion rates. That's not great. We do lots of one-on-one interviews. Not enough. We need to do more. But it's from the team leader level, from the director level, and we prioritize again tier 1 from top to bottom.
One other question we just got to is around that tech stack and how you've thought about bringing new tools in. When's the right time to introduce a new tool? How you think about introducing that to your CSMs, and you might be interrupting a process that you've already put in place. So how do you think about bringing in new tools? When's the right time? Some people, I think, get shiny object syndrome, right? Where it's a new tool comes out, you want to use it immediately. So how do you balance that of what you've got today versus what's coming out, and how you improve upon the tech stack that you built and the relationship cadence?
Yeah. So I think that I have slides that I'm not ready to show here because it's in another presentation, but I have 4 slides that shows the tech stack in 2013, in 2016, in 2019, and then in 2020. So that journey is really, really interesting. It showed before Salesforce, it shows when Salesforce was introduced, it shows Tutango, it shows when Tutango is no more. And then I think that the biggest thing is we've ever done is Looker. Looker is amazing. The abilities that we have in Looker that, for me as a leader, for the directors, for the team leaders, for the individual contributors, huge value, huge value. And because we are building that, it's amazing. For smaller companies, I would definitely recommend to, mostly are starting with HubSpot and then goes to Salesforce. I would recommend investing in as much as possible in Salesforce. And then I think that you should always look for new technologies, but you should have vision for that. Tutango didn't work for me, not because Tutango is not good or is good. I didn't have a very good vision. My first implementation with Tutango was bad because of my previous vision in end of 2014. And then the next implementation with Tutango was not well because but when you have a good vision, then you should definitely always look at the different technologies. One of my latest enlightenments in the last 18 months, I am not going to add any technology that is not going to funnel the data to Salesforce or Looker. I don't want a new UI. I don't want a new tool for my CSMs. I want a tool that will take the data and will funnel it to Salesforce. From Salesforce, I can take it to Looker and to Slack via Troops. I want it to be as centered as possible and as actionable as possible. And this is what I can do with Troops and Looker.
Yeah, I think it's a tough choice for people to make sometimes, but I agree with you that there has to be one system of record, right? There has to be one source of truth that everyone's working from. Otherwise, if you have multiple sources of truth, then you're always going to get in discussions with other teams about which data source is right. And then you run into issues there as well. So I've got two more questions lined up here. One is about enablement of your new CST members. So how, as you're onboarding new CSMs, as you're bringing people into the fold, maybe two-part question is one, do you have a function built within the organization that has gotten, really good at just getting time to value out of your new CSMs coming on board? And then the second part of that question maybe is, how's the relationship transition to kind of a new CSM that's getting a book of business that might already have relationships established?
Yeah, so it's a great question. So we have a great L&D department, and we have a great academy that until COVID, it was also, once you would go to your regional office, once you would go to your to our global headquarters, it was really great. Now it's mostly, of course, online. We have an online tool you start with, and then the full academy. It comprises with lots of the basic needs about anything in the company, and then product, then soft skills, then more, and it goes end with the online training and your manager and your mentor. We also have in the CS Ops, we have a function for CS enablement that works both on that. And you need to also remember that it's not only about new CSMs and onboarding, it's also ongoing. There's so many new things. There's so many, we develop something new that you have a training about it. We have a new feature or product, you have training about it. And in our size of a company, almost 1,000 people, and the amount of great new business and growth we have lots of features, lots of updates all the time. So I always say that it's much harder to join AppsFlyer now as a CSM than it was in 2013 when I was the first out of two.
I bet. And last question, and then we're going to wrap things up. But this is probably speaking to Ed Powers' heart here. What's kind of the correlation or the data? What do the numbers say? So you've been measuring relationships. You've been doing this. I know you probably can't show exacts, but have you seen a positive increase in terms of net revenue retention and what your team's been able to contribute to? Like, just speak a little bit, just for a minute or two, just about how you've seen that and been able to go present that into the board and to your executive team members.
Sure. So definitely, I can say definitely with the KPI for value that we started in 2018, by far we see an amazing, it's by far the most amazing thing I ever did in this company. For relationships, I'll be honest, I don't have any clue. I just know that first of all, and this is maybe the first thing that we wanted, for visibility, to know how many relationships we have, how many we maintain, who are the advocates, who are the supporters, we know much better now, and we are much, much smarter in engagement and my ability to engage with. So, we have more than 30,000 users that uses our product via the UI. We have a lot more users our data via the API, but now I know I can be very, very focused around the world for tier 1 customers. If I want to speak with 200 people of my advocates, I do it now with the click of a button. I just go to Looker and I download that email, and I can send now an email for the 200 most important advocates of in my customers. Super important. And I'm sure that, again, that there's things that I want to, that I say, well, we need to, show the results. Here, I'm sure that enabling a better relationship, building better relationships, and then working from that, I believe that we can assume that it's improving. So, but definitely,
awesome.
I can answer this question in 6 months again. Definitely.
Absolutely. Ziv, I learned a valuable lesson here, which is whenever you're going to do a 250 people on it, make sure to plug your laptop in. So sorry I disappeared on you for a second there. But hey, man.
It's recorded,
awesome.
by the way.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. It'd be good to see the look on Jeff's face, actually, on that recording. Awesome, man. This is exactly what we hoped we'd accomplish with this series. And so show your work, like look at the details, get into the goo. It's not about platitudes. It's not about ideas and concepts. It's about what's actually working. So thank you so much for putting this together and generating the interest that you did in the community around it. We got tons of questions. So we're going to take all these questions and we're going to put them out on the community. We'll figure out how to do that today or soon here. And then let's keep the discussion going. We can definitely have a
session for questions, definitely.
Awesome. Yeah, maybe we'll do a follow-up session, just do pure Q&A and make it live and interactive. So, but thank you guys all for attending. It was a lot of fun. Great to see everybody. And we'll see you tomorrow morning for Customer Success Leadership Office Hours at 11:30 Eastern Daylight Time. So whatever that is in your time zone, do the math and join us again tomorrow where we're going to be having more of an open forum discussion. Thanks, Ziv. Thanks, Jeff. Good to see you all. Have a good day. Take care.